some of you are attending for the first time. I want to quickly get started with what this is all about. I chose the subject Gita because it is very close to my heart. I do not believe it is just a religion or only a part of Hinduism. This is a script that can be used universally by anybody who wants any kind of spiritual guidance. Or anytime you're not feeling good, or anytime you're seeking for an answer to a certain conflict in your mind, you can go back to the Gita, and Gita has some solution or the other for you. That is the reason this book is very, very close to my heart. That is the reason I chose that. In the last three sessions, we have covered quite a few things. So also, even before that, I'm going to treat this as a spiritually guiding book, and I'm not here to promote religion or something. It is not particularly religious, but on the other hand, it is a spiritual journey for all of us. That is the main goal behind these sessions. So this is actually the fourth session that we are doing. And it was a long break between the third session and the fourth session because we were busy with other things. So very quickly, take a couple of minutes to cover what we turned up doing. We did the chapter number 1 of the Gita, which is Arjuna's despair. Arjuna Vishada Yoga. That's what it is called. And there we see Arjuna is in the battlefield, the mighty, great Arjuna, ready to fight and win the war. But suddenly there is an emotional hijack. The moment he sees in the opposite side, Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, and his cousins, and all of those relatives standing there, he feels completely emotional. He drowns in emotion. So there is an emotional hijack. As a result, his intellect takes a backseat. His intellect and rationality stops functioning, and he tells Krishna, I'm too weak, I cannot fight. And he is just sitting on the chariot, putting all his bow and arrow down. And this mighty great man becomes weak. That is simply because he has been taken over by emotion. That's what we turn up seeing in the chapter 1. And chapter 1 also tells us what is important for all of us, your ability to have the Viveka and Vairagya. Those are the terminologies I turned up introducing. Viveka is nothing but your ability to make out the difference between what is good and what is bad, what is right and what is wrong. Viveka is a very important aspect for us to take decisions, day-to-day decisions in our life. And also Vairagya, a certain level of attachment, a detachment. The moment you're emotionally attached to something, it is very difficult for you to take a rational decision. Those were some of the learnings we took away from chapter 1. The great mighty Arjuna becomes very weak, not only in mind, but also in body. His hand is not moving. This is something we have also experienced in life. When we are emotionally taken over, we suddenly feel the weakness in the body and mind. We feel great before that, but right after the emotionally being taken over, we feel absolutely down in the ditch. We believe that we cannot do anything. This happens to all of us. How to take charge of yourself, how to remain strong. That is something we turned up learning, seeing Arjuna's experience in chapter 1. Then the last session, I did talk about why did Krishna choose Arjuna to preach the Gita. Because Gita is something that has been lasting in this world, in India, and also world over. Since the 18th century, world over, people have taken up this script and they've translated this in various languages. It gives so much value. Why did Krishna choose Arjuna as the listener? So that is a question that I was trying to answer last time. What is the mindset that we need to have if we want to benefit from the Gita? So that is something we saw last time. Several kind of, what we need is humility. We need a seeker's mind. We want to learn. We want to have the growth mindset. We should be eager to hear, listen, and be curious. All these things Arjuna had, which many others did not have. So hence, Krishna turns up choosing Arjuna for this particular discourse. So we will continue today with chapter 2. Chapter 2 is extremely precious in Bhagavad Gita. According to many of the scholars, chapter 2 is a synopsis or a summary of the entire Gita. Now, as you know, Gita has 18 chapters, 700 shlokas. Chapter 2 plays an immensely important role. Now, you will need to understand the whole of chapter 1. 47 shlokas, 47 verses. Lord Krishna has not spoken even one word. He has been listening. He has been constantly listening. This emotional Arjuna rattling, rambling, going on talking, but Krishna does not interfere. And Krishna is going to speak up only in chapter 2. There we get started with the mainstream Gita in chapter 2. Yeah. So I just want to share the slide so that you can also go through the shlokas along with me, and we'll see the meaning. We will look at the interpretation. We'll also see what is the value we are taking so that we can apply it in our own lives. So this is what we are dealing with today, chapter 2, Bhagavad Gita, the gist of Gita. That's what many people say. Chapter 2 plays an important role. Though we have 16 more chapters coming up, chapter 2 still plays a very important role. You will get a complete understanding of the Jnana Yoga. There are 3 yogas that Bhagavad Gita talks about: Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Karma Yoga. So it touches greatly upon the Jnana Yoga and the Karma Yoga in this particular chapter. And also a third important thing this chapter touches upon is Sthita Pragya Lakshana. What is the meaning of Sthita Pragya Lakshana? How to be a person with steady wisdom, not emotionally wavering. All the time you're steady, calm, and composed. What are the qualities of such a person? That is also something toward the end of the chapter 2, Krishna tells Arjuna. So we'll dive into this chapter right away. So this is called Sankhya Yoga. The first chapter was called Arjuna Vishada Yoga, or Arjuna's despair, Arjuna's despondency, Arjuna's grief. That was the chapter 1. Chapter 2, we call it a Sankhya Yoga. The meaning is yoga of knowledge, or the yoga of analytical studies, which is this particular chapter tells you everything practical. This is the problem, this can be the solution. This is the problem, this can be the cause. That is the reason the problem came up, and this is the solution. So there is something that we can pick up for our everyday life. This chapter has 72 shlokas. We'll get right into the shloka 1. Okay. So Sanjaya is an important character in the entire Gita, because it is only through Sanjaya that we know the Gita. Which is to say, God has given that vision for Sanjaya to see what is happening in the Kurukshetra battlefield, and he is narrating the entire Gita to the king Dhritarashtra, and that is the way we hear the Gita. So Sanjaya is telling, after the end of chapter 1, the last shloka of the chapter 1, Arjuna says, I cannot even stand. My body is feeling weak. I'm in total confusion. And he sits down in the chariot. He puts his bow and arrow down. He is completely drowned in sorrow. And seeing that, Sanjaya starts the chapter number 2 with the first shloka. He's telling this to Dhritarashtra. So now, tam thata kripaya vishtam ashrupurna kulekshana vishidantamidam vakyam uvacha madhusudanaha. We'll quickly see the word meaning, then I'm going to interpret this for you. So the meaning goes like this: seeing Arjuna, full of compassion, pity, and very sorrowful, his eyes brimming with tears, Madhusudana, Krishna, spoke the following words. This is what Sanjaya is reporting to Dhritarashtra. He's telling, seeing Arjuna in distress and sorrow, Krishna spoke the following words. The next shloka is going to be the first shloka of Krishna. Now let us spend about a couple of minutes here and see what this means. Tam tatha kripaya vishtam. Seeing Arjuna full of compassion. Is it kripaya? It has the Sanskrit word kripaya can be interpreted as compassion or pity. Now what is the difference between the two? It is good to be compassionate. Compassion is karuna. Compassion is kindness. It is good to have self-compassion. It is also good to be compassionate towards others. Compassion is a very beautiful word. But as many of the masters and scholars have interpreted, here the meaning is more of pity. It is not compassion. Arjuna is feeling pity for himself and pity for the people who are standing on the opposite side. Compassion is a good word. But Arjuna is not in the mode of compassion, he is in the mode of pity. Now, what is pity all about? Pity comes out of ego. Pity comes because you think you are the master of everything and you control everything and you are doing it. The moment ego pops up, pity comes in. Compassion is a beautiful feeling. Then, how do we decide that Arjuna is not compassionate, he is pitiful? That's because the very next word says he is also sorrowful, he is sad, he is in grief. If you're in compassion, you will not be sorrowful. You will feel good, you will feel light, you will feel a sense of relief. But on the other hand, here Arjuna, he is in grief, he is sorrowful, so he cannot be compassionate. He must be having a pity upon himself. Pity is an indulgence. There is something called self pity, right? Sometimes, I feel, oh no, I've been doing so much of work. Nobody is helping me. That is a pity. And that is coming out of ego, and it is not coming out of anything good from inside of you. So here, many of the scholars have a feeling Arjuna is more of pitiful of himself and the people standing opposite to him. That is the reason he is sorrowful, and his eyes are brimming with tears. Madhusudana, Krishna, spoke these following words. Why does sage Vyasa turn up using the word Madhusudana? Madhusudana is another word for Krishna, which is Madhu. Madhu was a demon who was destroyed by Krishna, who was killed by Krishna, who was destroyed by Krishna. Here there is almost a pleading. I mean, the Gita is just waiting for the destroyer of the demon, the external demon Krishna, should help us in destroying the demon inside of us, which is our ego. So that is the reason very beautifully sage Vyasa turns up using the word Madhusudana, the demon of outside. Now that is, we are less concerned about the demon outside. We are more concerned about the demon inside of us. Who is doing the maximum harm to ourselves? To us, it is we ourselves. It is not outsider. It is our own mind that is destroying us many of the times. And that is a prayer to Lord Krishna. Please help us destroy the ego inside of us. Now, this is going to be a very, very important shloka here. This is Krishna's very first shloka in the entire Gita. And this is something like a very important shloka because Arjuna is totally in distress and emotion, and Krishna has to say something appropriate. And Krishna speaking for the first time, he speaks with a lot of sternness, a lot of power, and he's a very powerful statement he makes to Arjuna. So now, even before that, it's important for us to know when to speak, when not to speak. Krishna chose not to speak in the chapter 1 because there are two things that happens to us. We can be very emotional, we can be rational. There are people around us who can be emotional. Like Arjuna is totally emotional. When somebody is emotional, there is no point in speaking rationality. It will never enter that person's mind. The person is not ready to listen. So Krishna allows Arjuna to vent out all those emotions before he can start speaking. So now it is important. There is somebody who said, speak only if you can improve the silence. There is no point in speaking all the time. And also, sometimes there are some people who go on speaking and nobody is listening to them. Speak in such a way that people will listen to you. Speak when you can make an impact. Speak appropriately and enter at the right time, exit at the right time. Know how much to speak, where to stop. All these things are great skills we learn from Krishna, who chose to keep quiet in the entire chapter 1. Now, what does Krishna say right now? Krishna says, Kutastva. This is chapter number 2, verse number 2. That is 2.2. Kutastva kashmalamidam vishame samupasthitam anarya jushta aswargya akirtikaram arjuna. Very, very beautiful shloka. Here is the meaning, and then I'm going to explain a little more to you. Meaning goes like this. My dear Arjuna, how has this delusion overcome you in this hour of peril? It is not befitting an honorable person It is unheavenly and leading to disgrace. Now, Arjuna is crying, he is in sorrow, but Krishna is not taking pity on him. He is extremely stern with him. Sometimes when a child is crying continuously, there is no point in being too kind. Sometimes you just need to say, just keep quiet. It works. And that is what Krishna is doing right now. Now, later in the shlokas, he's going to be extremely kind also to Arjuna. But this is here, this being his very first shloka, he's got to stop somebody who is crying continuously. So he says, what has come upon you? What are you imagining? You're living in your own delusionary world. I'm shocked. You're a great man. You're a mighty person. You're a great Arjuna. But on the other hand, you're deluded. Your mind is really, really deluding you. Deluding, what is the meaning of deluding? Cheating you. And that too in this moment of great importance. This is the time you got to get up and fight. And you came here by choice. Just before seeing your relative standing on the opposite side, you had all the might. But the moment you saw all of those Bhishma and Drona and other relatives standing on the opposite side, you lost all your strength. And what is happening to you? I'm shocked, Arjuna. That's what Krishna says. This delusion, don't trust your mind. Your mind is playing a game. There is something called mind game. And don't trust your mind. And it is not telling you the right thing. And in the moment of great importance, this is happening to you. And this is not befitting of an honorable person. So this is dishonorable, unheavenly, and disgrace. So these are very sharp words Krishna is using against Arjuna. So he says, what you're doing is not the right thing. I'm shocked at you. You're a great person, but on the other hand, you're listening to your mind that is cheating you. And whatever you're doing right now, saying that you will not fight, that is dishonorable. It is not a person with a great honor will not do that. It is unheavenly, which is the other world. The next world is not going to cherish this. And it is a disgrace in this world also. It is a disgrace in this world. It is a disgrace in the next world, the other world. And also it is not an honor to you. So these are strong words Krishna turns up using. And also, this is something we turn up hearing, setting the stage for Gita's deeper teaching to come. This shloka tells us about the importance of self-mastery. When we become emotional, we lose out on a lot of things. Our rational thinking disappears. How to quickly bounce back and take charge of yourself and master your own self, master your mind and master your emotion. The entire Gita is about mind. Entire Gita is psychology. Entire Gita is neuroscience. The entire Gita is about emotional intelligence. How to master yourself and how not to be destroyed by your emotions. And another thing that this particular thing talks about is, this shloka talks about is, introduces dharma to you. You have to do what is your dharma, not what your emotion dictates. You have to be clear what is dharma, and also you need to take charge of yourself emotionally. Those are the two lessons this particular verse, I would say even three. One is, of course, Krishna's keeping quiet and speaking only now, the entire chapter 1, 47 shlokas, he never spoke. That tells us we have to know when to speak and when not to speak. That is important. We've got to make the choice. You can't be rambling all the time. You have to choose your talk. And when you talk, you have to talk powerfully. That's important. The second thing, this particular thing, shloka tells us is, it gives us a deeper glimpse into what is coming up in the Gita. It is all about mind and self-mastery. And number three, your ability to follow your dharma. Number one, know your dharma. Number two, your ability to follow your path of dharma. So these are a few things that we take away from this particular shloka. So I'll just cover the next shloka and I'm going to pause for a moment. If you have anything to ask or share, you might do that. But the next shloka is in continuation with this particular shloka, which is chapter number 2 and the shloka 3, which Krishna continues. He says, Klaibyam mamsmagama partha, naitat vayupapadhyate, shudram hridaya daurbalyam tyaktva uttishta parantapa. Very beautiful. So what it talks about is, oh Partha. Why is he calling Partha? Partha is another name for Arjuna, but also Partha Pritha is his mother, who is Kunti. Kunti's another name is Pritha. And who is Pritha, Kunti? Krishna's aunt. Krishna's father is Vasudeva. Vasudeva's own sister is Kunti. And Kunti's other name is Pritha. So Pritha's son is Partha. So now why is Krishna calling him Partha here? He's just connecting with him. He says, I care for you. You're my first cousin. You're my brother. I love you. Remember that. So in the previous shloka, he was very stern. He came out very strongly. How can you be this weak? How can you be deluded? You're doing a disgrace to this world. He was very strong. He's just now being kind. He's being nice. He said, hey, listen, Partha, you're my aunt's son. You're my brother. Oh, Partha, it does not befit you to yield to this cowardice and unmanliness. So, Clybium is impotence, unmanliness, cowardice. It doesn't befit you. You're not that. You're great, Kunti, my aunt's, and you're my cousin. You're my aunt's son, you're my cousin. And that has several meaning here. One is he's making emotional connection with Arjuna, saying, I care for you. Number two, he's saying, Kunti is such a great lady. You're her son. You've got to keep up that kind of standards. And this is, your action is unmanly, impotent, and cowardly. Give up such weakness of heart and arise, O vanquisher of enemies, which is Parantapa. That is interesting. So, weakness of heart, weakness of mind, it arises from inside of us. I'm strong, but suddenly I become weak. Why? Mind is playing a game again. It is in continuation with the previous shloka. No, weakness of heart. Tyaktva. Now, if you see, Hridaya Daurbalya. Shudram, discard. Hridaya Daurbalya. The weakness of your heart. Tyaktva, again discard. Uttishta, arise. Parantapa. Parantapa is vanquisher of enemies. A person who has fought hundreds of wars, thousands of wars, and you've won those wars. Now, Krishna calls him Partha and also uses the word Parantapa, which is he's encouraging him. He's telling him, hey, listen, you've done it in the past. You have all of it inside of you. You have all those strength. For some reason or the other, your mind has deluded you. Come on, get up. Be smart. Go ahead. You're the mighty Arjuna. So at this point in time, does anybody have anything to ask or tell? Okay. So the idea behind the last two shlokas, this is the previous one, is Krishna is jolting Arjuna sternly, which is if there is anybody who is continuously emotional, you want to put a break so that the person stops. It can be a child or it can be anybody. Yeah. Yes. Anybody has anything, or I can cut?
So you mentioned about dharma, right?
Yeah.
Now, dharma is very wide. It's a very wide terminology, right?
Yeah.
And it can be a very unique or specific, and it can be differ from person to person, right?
Yes.
So,
Sure,
I
it can.
mean,
So what the question is in this context, what is dharma?
yeah. So you mentioned that
Yes.
we need to understand or learn what is our dharma, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's a very wide terminology, and it can be differ from person to person, right? So identifying that what is your dharma, it's also a big question, right?
It is. It is.
It
You said it well.
may sounds a silly question, maybe,
No, no.
but
Very deep question. In fact, very deep question, not easy to answer, but I'll try. So it can differ from person to person. It can differ from one more variable I'll bring into, increase the complexity. It can also differ from context to context. It can differ from role to role. Yeah. But in this particular context, in the battlefield, when all the negotiation was already done with the Kauravas, and the Kauravas did not agree in any fair means to give these people even 5 houses. Terribly unfair. They were in the path of adharma. In a situation like that, they decided on the war, the battle. They've been following step by step, Samadana, Veda, Danda, we talk about. Everything they tried with the Kauravas, nothing worked. They came in here. And Arjuna is fully convinced that Kauravas are in the path of adharma. We are in the path of dharma. And Krishna is in the path of dharma.
So now, having decided that and come to the battlefield to get rid of the adharma and to establish the dharma, that has been the core principle of coming to the battlefield. To how to destroy the adharma by destroying the Kauravas, and to establish the dharma by upholding the dharma and winning the war. So all that was clear in their mind, and they come to the battlefield and they are just about to fight. Just in moments, Arjuna has been taken over by emotion. Just by seeing Pitra, Pitamahan, Acharyan, Matulan, Bratran, Putran, Pautran, he's seeing all these people in the opposite side, and just in moments he's swayed by emotion. What happened to your principles? What happened to your dharma? In this particular context, his dharma is to fight. For two reasons, all the steps had been covered, and they were trying compromise, they were trying to avoid the war and violence and everything. Nothing worked. That is one thing. Number two, Arjuna is a Kshatriya. His job is to uphold the dharma. Now, the dharma, what is dharma? Dharma is to protect the people who are on the side of righteousness, and he going to be the future prince and the king. He has got lots of responsibility to take care of his own praja and people. So in this particular context, his dharma is to fight them. Yes, in our own lives, we've got to distill and find out what is my dharma right now. There is swadharma, there is sadharana dharma, there is swabhava. All these are important terminology that comes up in the Gita. Yeah. And it is just not easy, but you've got to think, what is my dharma at the moment? I as a father, I as a son, I as a husband, I as an employee, I as a praja, I as a citizen of this place, I as a citizen of the larger context. I mean, you have to look at your roles and you got to see what your dharma is. It's not easy. It is very contextual. But in this particular context, Arjuna's dharma is to fight. For one reason, they know that the other side is in the adharmic path, and these people are in the path of dharma. Does that answer to some extent? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. So also it's important, why I've written something in the red is Krishna jolts Arjuna sternly. So sometimes you've got to be stern in some context. Not all the time can you be kind. Sometimes you have to be very strong, and it works. Now let us go to the third. What does Arjuna reply to this? Krishna has told him, you're being unmanly, this is an impotent game, you're deluded with your mind, this is a disgrace, this is unheavenly, all that he has said. What does Arjuna have to say? Arjuna Uvacha. This is chapter 2 and shloka 4. Arjuna says, Katham Bhishma Maham Sankhya, Dronam cha Madhusudana, Ishubhihi Pratiyotsyami, Pujarha Varisudana. What does that mean? Arjuna said, Oh Madhusudana, how can I shoot arrows in battle on men like Bhishma and Drona, who are worthy of my worship, O destroyer of enemies? That is Madhusudana. Now, Arjuna is still sticking to his point. He's not understanding what Krishna is saying. He's still sticking to his point, which is when we are in the place of resistance, we are not in the situation of acceptance. When we are not accepting, this is my dharma and I've got to go ahead, we will keep building arguments to prove our point. That is what Arjuna is doing. He is gathering a lot of points from his mind. He's still swayed away by the emotion and mind. So now he's saying, how can I shoot arrows on Bhishma and Drona? These people are worthy of worship. Now he's forgetting the larger context. Now what is he forgetting? And he goes to the extent of saying it is better to lose the battle and go begging rather than kill these people and win the battle. He's swaying away from his dharma as a Kshatriya, and now this is established that they are on the path of dharma. He's got to fight it. But the larger principles he has forgotten. Now, this is what I want to say. The larger principles he has forgotten for personal sentiments. Larger principle of dharma he has forgotten for personal. What is the larger principle? He's a Kshatriya. He's got to uphold dharma. He's got a dharma to take care of his citizens. He also has a dharma to destroy the adharma. So there is a beautiful shloka, which probably is a part of Manusmriti, I'm not sure. Ahimsa paramo dharma. So one of the very important thing in life is to be ahimsak. Yeah. So I don't have to tell a lot of people from Gujarat out here. Mahatma Gandhi's very favorite shloka is this. Ahimsa paramo dharma, which is non-violence is the ultimate dharma. Not ultimate, it's a very important dharma. Ahimsa paramo dharma. The second part. Then there should not be any war at all. The second part is dharma himsa tathaivacha. But when that dharma itself is in struggle, you have to pick up violence to protect the dharma. Ahimsa paramo dharma. In the normal context, you should never be violent to anybody. Dharma himsa tathaivacha. But when that dharma itself is in struggle, your dharma is to become violent and protect the dharma. So this was a very, very favorite shloka of Gandhiji. So this is something also very interesting. You have a duty to defend dharma. Now, in the normal life, if you think something is wrong and you're just watching it go by, but somebody else is committing the crime and you know something is wrong out there, and you're watching it, you are sinning as much as the person who is committing the crime. That is where the courage comes in, wherever it is possible. I'm not saying if there is a big rowdy, he is having a gun and then he's shooting people, you've got to go there and stop him. I'm not saying that, but many a times we know it, even in meetings in the office. Many times people are not speaking because they are being too cautious. Too cautious. That is something for us to think about. At least if I feel something is not right, and if it is under my control to some extent, I need to step up and speak up, whatever I think is right. So that is, your principle has to be more powerful than your personal sentiments or your own selfishness or your self-interest. Yeah, that is. Now here, if you see Arjuna, he's just going back to that. He's sentimental. He says, how can I kill Bhishma and Drona? It's not about killing Bhishma and Drona. This war is not about killing Bhishma and Drona. It is about establishing dharma. Bhishma and Drona, they will go through the consequences of their own karmas. We don't control everybody's karma in this world. Ultimately, Gita tells us to take care of yourself. Always enhance yourself, improve yourself, become a better person, become a better being. Contemplate, think, reflect what you can do. If you want to control 10, 100, thousands of people around you, it doesn't work that way. Yeah. So now, Arjuna surrender. This is 2.7. This is a very, very powerful. It's a turning point of the discourse. See, until this shloka, the previous shloka, he is defending. He is resisting. He is saying whatever he has been saying all the time. He has not made any changes. But he has become too tired. He has become too tired of rationalizing, speaking the same thing again and again, trying to prove that he is right. And here, in this particular shloka, which is really a turning point in the discourse, is a very powerful shloka. Karpanya dosho pahata swabhavaha prichhami tvam dharma sammuda chetah echreyasyan nishchitam bruhitan me shishyasteham shadhimam tvam prapannam. A little complex shloka. Karpanya dosho pahata swabhavaha prichhami tvam dharma sammuda chetah echreyasyan nishchitam bruhitan me Shishyasteham shadhimam tvam prapannam. I have to say a few things about the shloka, but before that, let's look at the literal meaning. I am confused now. Krishna is surrendering. He is not going to say that I am right, I cannot kill. No, he is too tired now. I am confused about my duty and have lost composure because of faint-heartedness and attachment. Tell me decisively what is good. We'll discuss this, good and prosperity. What is good for me? I am your disciple. Instruct me. I surrender to you. This is the turning point. This is so beautiful because when the seeker or the listener completely surrenders, is likely to pay attention to the person who is speaking. In fact, the Gita is going to start only in the next shloka when Krishna speaks. Because until now, the two shlokas Krishna spoke, he's just he's just shaking Arjuna. He's just shaking up Arjuna, giving a jolt. But the real sermon of Gita is going to start only after this. There's again a lesson for all of us. Speak only when the person is ready to listen. Yeah. When Arjuna says, I surrender, please tell me. Now he's not going to resist. He's going to listen because he's asking for it. I am totally confused. I am your Sishya. I am your disciple. And tell me which is the good path for me. Tell me decisively what is good here. Now, the Sanskrit word here is Shreya. Shreyas, path of Shreyas. There are two terminologies in Kathopanishad, Shreyas and Preyas. The path of Shreyas, the path of Preyas. Path of Preyas is very tempting. It is instant gratification. It gives us the pleasure, we feel happy. They say the dopamine gush. Seeing the reels, watching the YouTubes, going one after the other. It gives us the instant kick. That is called the dopamine spike, dopamine gush. That is a path of Preyas. It can be sensual pleasure. It can be through the mode of our senses. That which gives immediate. But path of Shreyas is a long-term good. Now, Arjuna is asking a Shreyas. Tell me that path, that which is going to do me good. Now, another word that has been used for good here is prosperity. But prosperity, again, is an English word that may not exactly give the meaning of Shreyas. Shreyas is well-being, good for all, lokakshema, a larger good. Now, when Arjuna is asking, and he's using the word Shreyas, what he means is, tell me that path, which is going to bring about good result to the humanity. Yeah. So it is just not about the economic prosperity. When we use the word prosperity in the Western context in the English word, it means largely it means the economic prosperity. But here he's talking about the well-being. Yeah. So he says, tell me the path of Shreyas, Krishna. Yeah. So I don't want to get stuck in Preyas. Preyas is the short term, sudden dopamine gush, instant gratification. Now it's simply something like, why is it many people don't do their exercises regularly? Why is it you don't practice a certain thing that you should be practicing effectively? You know, if you practice on a regular basis, you'll do a fantastic job, but you don't do it. Many of us don't do it. Why? Because we get caught up in the path of praise. We want instant gratification, instant results. Instantly, we want to feel good, a pleasure, a happiness. But on the other hand, path of Shreyas is different. Path of Shreyas is a habit formation. It's a tough path. It's a difficult path. It's a path of greater resistance. Yeah, but that is what is going to bring us. See, only it's not that you go to the gym and do your gymming for about 4 days and you become different. No, you should not even look at the result. You should keep doing it. You've got to just form a habit. Probably after 6 months, after a year, you'll see the result. But that is too much for many of the human beings. It is very difficult for many people to accept that. So now here, Arjuna has become very mature. That's because he has gotten from, there is something called, in psychology, we talk about SARA principle. So in a certain situation, that's what Arjuna is going through. Now this SARA in psychology goes like this. S stands for shock. A stands for anger. R stands for resistance. Then finally, A stands for acceptance. So Arjuna, in fact, seeing his relatives and all those people, elderly people standing on the opposite side, whom he has got to fight and kill, he has gone through this. Shock, anger with himself and others, resistance. He has been trying to prove to Krishna that he is right. He is not still accepting. Finally, he has come to the stage of acceptance. Now, when you come to the stage of acceptance, which requires a lot of courage, even for us, to accept that something is not right with me. It is really, really difficult, but only when you come to the stage of acceptance, your growth will begin. You accept, then you become humble. Oh my God, I need somebody that should help me. I'm looking for a coach. I'm looking for a mentor. I'm looking for a guru. I'm looking for the right person who can help me. That humility, that modesty, and that surrender comes to us only when we are ready to learn, no more, by complete acceptance that we are not in the right path, or I'm confused. I don't know what is the right path. So that is where he is. Hence, this is a turning point in the second chapter. And he has totally given in. And if you will see, this is also in Sanskrit, we use surrender, we use the word sharanagati. Complete surrender. The moment you totally surrender to the right person, and he is surrendering to the right person, which is Krishna himself, who is intellectually robust, unshakable, sthita pragya, yogeshwara. He is surrendering to the right person, and he'll get the guidance. And when the guidance comes in, he's ready to receive. So now there is a shift in Arjuna's mindset. He's ready. He's ready. He accepts that I'm weak, I'm confused, I don't know which is the right path for me. Krishna, please tell me. And I'm your student, and you're my master, and I surrender to you, and I listen to whatever you've got to say. So this is a very, very beautiful shift. Now, there's something we can think for ourselves also. So we'll be holding on to a lot of things, maybe a grudge, maybe an anger, maybe a bitterness. And we'll try to go on saying, oh, yeah, after all, that person does not deserve. Yeah, I'm angry with that person. I'm bitter with that person. Now, we don't even understand what we are doing to ourselves when we are angry and bitter. But we are resisting the situation. But if we can just let go and talk to somebody, hey, listen, I'm feeling so bad. I'm not able to carry this anymore. I'm not able to handle my emotion. Can we talk about it? I want to listen to you. Do you have something to tell? And at that is the point in time, probably a solution will emerge. Yeah. So that is what Arjuna is going through. Anything that anybody would like to ask or say?
All good from my side.
Good. Yes, Shilpa, you want to say something? Yes, please. सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है. Your voice is breaking, Shilpa. Very light, very
Okay,
light.
just a minute.
Yeah, that's slightly better.
Okay, I'm just taking it. In this, am I audible now?
It's not very sharp, but I can hear you.
Okay. My question is this: in this particular situation,
Yeah.
Arjuna is seeking support from Krishna, Lord Krishna.
Yes.
But in our individual case, if there is no any support as such, even if we want to surrender, so for like we have to surrender for in whose like for whom like to whom we can surrender to.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Very good question. Very beautiful question. Very beautiful question. But the Sara model I talked about, when we come to the stage of acceptance, the ego inside of us dissolves. We'll talk about whom we can surrender to. We'll come to that. But that I said, the shock, anger, resistance, and acceptance. The moment acceptance happens, we feel lighter. To start with, yeah. The ego inside us disappears. Yes, I have this problem. Yeah. When you decide that, when you accept that you have this problem, internally you become lighter. Probably there is also a possibility your energy moves from your emotional brain to a little more rational brain, and you will be able to think for yourself a little more clearly. Acceptance is an important thing to start with. Yeah. And internally, that itself is a one step towards wisdom. And when that wisdom happens, acceptance, wisdom, more rational thinking, you will be able to think better. That's one. Then, number two, I really appreciate your question. You need to think of some people to It's difficult to find Lord Krishna. But the second stage can be to have faith in yourself. Understand, probably, what is my, again, Vikram's question comes up, at the moment, what is the right thing for me to do? There is a likelihood you'll get some answers. Think about it, churn through that. What is stopping me from doing it? Whom can I get this clarity from if I want further clarity? Whom do I trust in my life? It can be a relative, somebody in the house, or if you're a working professional, probably somebody in the organization. Consider somebody. It can be a friend, it can be somebody nearby, or it can be somebody far away, or somebody in the organization, somebody in the social circle. It may be a good idea to have somebody who may not be, they will come with their own bias, they'll come with their own prejudice, but at least to talk to somebody. Yeah, because everybody will have we're all human beings, right? But if you can think of somebody wise enough whom you respect. We all respect some people in lives, right? We believe they are good, they are scholarly, they can be unbiased. So it may be good for you to think of some such people. That is the reason we say, when I do a lot of work in leadership in the corporate world, I tell people, try to have your own mentors, not formal mentors assigned in the organization, but choose somebody that you respect, you regard. It is something like, they've lived their life like that. You've been watching them and they inspire you because they just don't preach alone. They practice also certain things and you take inspiration from that. You regard them. So it is good to have some such people whom we regard highly. But before that, that was an answer to your question. But before that, self-reliance. Self-reliance. Trust yourself, trust your judgment, start thinking rationally, put things down in writing, see what is right, what is wrong, weigh it. Don't get into a space of guilt. Don't get into a space of shame. You be very clear. Now, that is what is self-mastery all about. Self-mastery is not really counting on others, but counting on yourself, your ability to believe that you can think straight. But that may not happen to us all the time because we're human beings. Now, it is good to have some people that we respect and we have seen their lives. Like Lord Krishna, before, I think I did state it here in one of the sessions, before he went to Dwaraka after the battle is over. He wants to leave Hastinapura after the battle is over and it is the Pandavas, they've taken over the kingdom. And Krishna says, my duty is over, I have to go. Krishna has no attachment. He is ultimate master. He's got complete control over his mind. He says, I'm not attached to this place. I mean, he doesn't tell them that. He's not attached. So he tells the Pandavas, now my duty is over, I've got to leave. And I've got my duty in Dwaraka, I've got to go. So the entire lot of Pandavas, they are very upset because Krishna is the remote control under which they are working. If he goes, everything is over. So Arjuna, he's asking Krishna, we are totally pathetic and we cannot stop you also, but tell us a few lessons as to how we can manage our kingdom, how to lead our lives. So Krishna thinks for a moment, he says, Arjuna, I don't have one or two lessons to give you. My life is my lesson. Now, that is the kind of mastery he had over his life. My life is my lesson. I mean, it is such a powerful statement. That is indirectly he's saying, everything I've done from the moment I've born till today is in the path of dharma. So you can look at any point in my life and take it as a lesson. So that level of mastery Krishna had. To some extent, we need to bring it into ourselves. And also we take inspiration from some people whom we respect and regard. I mean, not like the 16 qualities of the ultimate Purusha like Krishna, but there are some people in our lives whom we really regard. Wow, that person is generous. That person is kind. But that person is also very assertive. Can be very firm. That person is more or less a complete person for us. So those kind of person who inspire us, we have to very often talk to them, in fact. And in the corporate world, I keep telling the managers, have those kind of mentors and approach them all the time. Because people will not come to you and give you advice. Nobody will do that. We have to seek out. We have got to go to them. And whenever we are in trouble, there is a fair possibility we can bounce some great ideas. We can come back with a greater level of confidence. Yeah, that is, I hope a part of your question was answered. Thank you. Thank you. All right, we are kind of, should we close, or I mean, what do you say, Vikram? I think it is time, it is 12. We'll close, and we can also set up for the date or the next date right away. We can do it on 10th, yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, 10th of May.
There's a question from one more user.
Yeah, sure, I'm sorry. Chala, please, go ahead.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you so much for this session, ma'am. I really loved it. But I have one question. So, normally, as you said, when we are in a situation where we are not able to understand certain things, and when we are full of a lot of emotions, it's very hard to find the right person to share with. Even though we have a lot of
Correct.
people around, either be friends or colleagues, normally when we start sharing things and when we are emotionally down, we end up sharing a lot of things which are not needed. So, can
Exactly.
you please suggest what is the right approach in that particular point, or when you are trying to share your things so that you feel little bit relieved? How can you
Correct.
control oversharing in that aspect?
Very, very good question. So the sequence is you're emotional, then you got to stabilize your own emotion and then come to terms with your emotion, come to the acceptance level like Arjuna, and you're calm enough. That is the time you share, not when you're falling apart. That is not a good time to share. There are a lot of people, even in the scriptures, who have made mistakes, who have shared a lot of things during when they're emotional. There are a lot of instances, even in the Ramayana. So there is always Dasharatha is known for that. Always hasty during the emotion, and he will sit and repent in pleasure. Haste in emotion, promising in emotion, and repenting in leisure. Yeah. So now it is, I'm emotional. I recognize I'm emotional. Try to calm myself down. Go through that process. Go through that process. And in emotional intelligence, there are tips how to do it. Name your emotion. Call it out. Yeah, I think I'm irritated with that person. Irritation. Why am I irritated? Is it worthwhile? A lot of self-analysis, self-questioning, self-exploration, and you settle a little bit. Is it of any use to me? Am I harming myself by being emotional? Is it useful for me? Not useful? Several questions you ask yourself. You settle a little bit, but still it's bothering you somewhere. But you're calm enough. When you're going to be talking, you will not fall apart, you'll not cry, and you'll not be. And you decide how much to say, which is your emotion is settling, you're bringing a rational brain inside. You're ready to think rationally, but the emotion is still there. But you're ready to think rationally about the emotion. In that stage, probably you can go to the kind of person that I was telling Shilpa, to the right person who you regard and respect, and decide even before, meeting with that person, how much I want to speak. So all this is thinking your emotion. You're not emoting your emotion, you're thinking your emotion. From the emotional stage, you've come to the thinking stage, but still you would like to bounce some good ideas. That is the stage you have to go, not when you're falling apart, totally out of control, complete emotional hijack. No, that's not a good idea.
Thank you, ma'am. I really got the point.
I hope that was useful.
Yeah, ma'am. It was.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. So Vikram, I think we will get into Krishna's reply. That's going to be huge for this. And that is where we will continue. The idea of showing the PPTs is so that you know what are the most important shlokas. And maybe you can take a screenshot, or you can do something. Or maybe later after the chapter is over, I can share it with you also. No problem. I can do that. But these are some of the most important shlokas. And I thought PPTs can be very useful for you to see it and then listen to me also. Yeah. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having all of you. Hope to see you next time. On 10th we